right, gang, welcome to this episode of the Dealer Playbook podcast. So delighted to be joined by my buddies, my pals. I feel like I just saw them yesterday. Kyle Mountsier and Paul Daly. What is going on? Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Great.
Hanging out.
We're glad to have you. So we did a thing. We did a crazy thing, and we were talking about this actually yesterday in Philadelphia. Not West Philadelphia with the cadence, just Philadelphia. And we were talking about how the industry has so many people in it, so many opinions, so many voices, but every now and again, there are those that somehow gravitate towards one another. It's like our thought processes start getting aligned somehow, and then it just takes, I don't know, a stroke of luck or something. In this case, Kyle gets all the credit for kind of unifying all of us and being like, hey, you're doing a thing that I'm doing a thing, and we're kind of doing a thing. I want to just get some history on the two of you. How did this all come together? The ASOTU, the emails, you're doing a conference. I want to talk about that in a bit. How did this all come together?
So, go ahead.
You first, babe.
Lean in.
Go ahead. Finish each other's sandwiches.
You said you first, babe. If we can get through 5 minutes without me crying because I'm laughing so hard, this is going to be a really good thing for us.
Well, it's interesting because if you really think about it, it literally how we connected is the proof point to the thesis of everything that we talk about.
That's so true.
I don't know if you know this, Cirillo, but the reason why Paul and I are connected, so we were connected on social media through LinkedIn and stuff like that, but just super, now we're connected, and so we're social media friends. Well,
right.
Go to about 7 or 8 months after we were initially connected, because one of us, I can't remember who, hit the connect button and the other one said yes. I was scrolling LinkedIn and Paul had a post about an automotive marketing coffee thing that him and Drew were putting on, and Drew Delaware. And I hit like, and I clicked through and joined this coffee talks thing that happened every couple of days. Well, fast forward like 7 or 8 months, and we're talking about, well, how did we first connect? I think it was over this coffee talk thing was really, well, we go back and find this post. And the post still to this day has 4 engagements on the post. Now, if you know Paul, or you know myself, or you know Michael Cirillo, if any post on LinkedIn gets 4 posts, we probably said something inappropriate. And that's just not normally the mode. And so, the thesis is like, hey, you never know when the right content, the right message, the right whatever gets put out on any media platform to connect to the right person to your business or your ecosystem or anything like that. So that's our little dating story.
You know what I love about this though? I've had both of you on before individually. We've talked about this concept to varying degrees. I think it was you, Paul, last time we were talking about when you were doing some stuff with Gary Vee, part of his program, his mentorship program. And one of the things that came up was low engagement on social. And you're like, dude, I don't have any followers. Like, it's not going to land. And he's like, we can talk about your ego if that's what you want to spend time talking about.
Yeah.
And hearing that from you, Kyle, it brings this whole concept full circle. So many people approach social or the concept of biz dev or demand gen from what I see is what I get. Like, oh, it didn't get any views. It didn't get any this, or nobody commented. I didn't get enough thumbs up. But you never know. This is proof in the pudding that Gary Vee understands. But who did that reach? Who did that impact that didn't take the time to click a like button, but it still had an impact on them? And now all of a sudden, here we are.
Yeah, there's a
couple years later.
We create content. The three of us do. Lots of people do. We talk about LinkedIn because we spend a lot of our time there, but it doesn't matter the platform. But if you're in the auto industry, LinkedIn is a pretty great place to be these days. We create content we've used this concept of a beacon, and we use that metaphor and that illustration saying, I'm going to put like a light. I think of that pyramid in Vegas that has that light. I don't know what it's called, but the light shoots straight up in the look. Yes. And it's almost like that. And when you put content out, it shows other people where you are, right? It shows other people what you believe. And so that mentality that we all have, and it doesn't matter how many views, it doesn't matter how many likes, it doesn't matter any of that, because that is how we find each other in this day and age. Sure, you can go to conferences, you can't meet everybody. Sure, you can go places, you can't talk to everybody, you can't understand. That's why we try to be transparent. I try to be as transparent as possible. And I know both of you do as well. You read through our posts and you realize like, oh, I think that's really how they feel, right? And there's an element of like, I'm going to put it out there because it attracts the other people that feel the same way you do. So like every good community, and now I'm officially saying that is the buzzword of the next 4 years, right? It was brand for the last 4 or 5 years. It's community now, right? That will get diluted and everyone will use it and just think by saying it, you can have it. But the reality is every community, like real legit community, starts because people come together around a shared need or a shared belief, or usually a little bit of both. And all of this, to go back to your question, all of this got started because there was a shared belief and there was a shared need. And then little by little, we realized that beacon started drawing a lot more people closer to it. And then, like the smaller communities find each other, and now you have a larger community, and then they all start moving. And I think we're seeing that in retail automotive in real time right now.
Yeah. I love the visual too. Like this concept of a beacon. It's like the war cry, like there would be people, whatever you want to call them, watchmen on the tower or on the hills, and they would light their flame, and then you'd see one down the way and they'd light theirs and it would send a signal. And that's really the visual I love, is we're all coming together in a collaborative way to light a signal and send a signal out to the industry that changes here. We welcome it. Collaboration, not, what it was co-opetition, how everybody was like, let's soften the term competition. It's like, dude, shut up.
Somebody said co-opetition. Is it somebody actually throw that out there?
Yeah, you have that on a recording somewhere?
I don't believe in competition. I believe in co-opetition. It's like
like frenemies. Is that like frenemies?
Yeah, frenemies. And this industry is not immune to that, where everybody thinks, oh, somebody's doing kind of the same thing, therefore they must be competing. What I love about this ecosystem is, no, we welcome it. We want everybody to be a part of this. This is not a push people out, if it's to be a welcome everyone in. And so that's led to, Kyle reached out to me. He's like, I see you're kind of doing something similar and this is cool. And so a conversation started there. You guys are starting to have conversations. You start to formalize something. You guys reach out to me and say, he's short. I could rest my arm on his head. Exactly. We should reach out to him.
First shot.
That was a direct quote too.
I thought you were taller than me until I met you. I thought
maybe just in spirit. I don't know. What's the
No. Hey, look at this. Your head is actually closer to the top of the frame than mine. He must be taller than me.
Yeah. We're all actually just busts. People are disappointed when they meet us in person because they're like, you're just a bust like Mozart. Like
you weren't supposed to have legs.
I thought I was just picturing you sitting there on a robotic chair. And I love this. I love coming together with you guys. I mean, we had a blast yesterday. I really, I hope people that get to listen to our new collaboration enjoy it, are edified by it, but also realize, man, you can have so much fun and be total goofballs while still doing something productive. And I don't know about the two of you, but boy, did I need a day like that yesterday. It edified me. It sent me back into my neck of the woods, just so much more inspired and thinking bigger. And I think that's the power of what we're trying to have happen here. And so for those listening, each of us individually have our shows. Obviously, you're listening to this or you're watching it. You've heard Paul's podcast. You've heard Kyle's podcast that he's starting back up tomorrow. And then we come together and we explore, like, what can we do together? How can we collaborate? And then you guys were talking to me just a few weeks ago about this concept of we want to start a podcast. And I'm like, funny, I wanted to talk to you guys about the same thing. The next thing you know, I'm in Philly with the two of you overlooking the city recording a new podcast. I thought
in the penthouse, by the way,
in a penthouse. I love what you said about this. Like, it restored and rejuvenated me because I felt the same way. And I think that the best thing that you do is continue to press into what brings like that innate joy and the energy around what you're doing. Like Paul and I doing the daily podcast. The reason why we do a daily podcast is not because we're like, man, everybody in the world needs a daily podcast. It's because for 4 months, he and I sat on a Google Meet from 8 to 9 every single day. And it was like, yo, what happened yesterday? Do you see this news? Do you see that? Hey, I'm thinking this. I'm thinking that. I saw this LinkedIn post. And we were like, you know, it'd be crazy. We could like record this thing, you know? It's like, it was an easy walk to go there. And I think, you know, the three of us have had lunch meetings over Zoom and text message conversations. And I think what's cool about the best content or the best collaborations, it's an easy walk to the next step, whether that be a technology collaboration or a content collaboration or a business partnership. The next step is typically a very easy walk.
Tell me a little bit more specifically for those that may not be familiar with ASOTU, ASOTU.com. You've got a newsletter, you've got events that you're working on. How did that, so you go from the daily podcast and meeting together and saying, hey, we should record this too, now having a really robust daily output of media and fun and the newsletter and everything. And I want to talk about the event coming up here in September in just a minute, but how did that all come together? Was it just, like you said, an extension of the conversation?
No, yes and no. ASOTU, by the way, stands for Automotive State of the Union. And that was just way too long, like to type into like a website. And so we abbreviated it, and we're fortunate enough to actually get the domain. And then we're like, people will just know it's ASOTU. We'll have no idea what it means for a while. So that's fine with us. You know, it was ASOTU started as an extension of, you know, what I was just doing, like both of you were working in the auto industry, trying to make our way through a pandemic when it started, not knowing what to do. And, you know, everyone seemed to feel better when they were on Zoom calls with other dealers and vendors across the country, even though no one knew what was going on. And, you know, several states were locked down. And so I just thought, how can I scale that mentality? So thought, okay, we'll call it something official so people will think it's a thing. You know, that's if we call it Automotive State of the Union and make it look presidential, which is literally what we did. Yeah. We were like, make it look like a State of the Union address, I told the designer. And people just started saying yes. And there was just this huge appetite for the industry to just be together in one place. You know, and it was NADA had just happened, and then everything started getting canceled. And so thousands and thousands of people showed up to the first live stream and then just kept getting together, just trying to rally people around. Kyle and I met in the midst or, you know, like as the pandemic was kind of opening up, and we started to realize like we wanted to do something because our heart was the same for the industry. And then it became very, very clear quickly that ASOTU was what we were supposed to do together. This was how we were going to make our mark on the automotive industry and invite as many people together as we could. So we started, you know, we turned it into an official company. We incorporated, we got 7 investors to raise a seed round, which were all auto dealers. So we're the only dealer-owned media company. And we're having these conversations in the morning. And then I just hit record one day. And we were like, let's just have more conversation around. I literally just hit record. If you go back and listen to the beginning episode, we were having this conversation like Kyle just said it. And I was like, I'm just going to hit record. And I just hit record. And we do it every day to give people a bite-size something. Sometimes they're going to walk away with a little piece of information they can use. Sometimes they'll walk away maybe with just like a little hope, right? Because people come to work in all different states. And at the very least, if people can walk away with a smile and a laugh, we think we did it. But all of it is to just give everyone that one next thing that they might need to lean in further to, you know, what we all believe is the best industry in the country and the world.
I need to know though, at some point when you were conceptualizing the podcast and you were like, man, we should do an intro. What should the intro be? Maybe it'll be like this. Tell me, Kyle, you were like, hey, here's what we should do. Let's sing both off tune, but be like, subscribe to ASOTU.com. I had to have been part of it.
That was exactly
No.
what
Oh,
happened.
shoot. That was us yesterday with
That was us yesterday. And if you happen to listen to the end of episode 00, you may hear that take.
So let's talk about the
Unbelievable.
podcast real quick. We've talked a lot about Auto Collabs without really naming it. This new podcast that we're working on, Auto Collabs. What's the thought process behind that? What do you hope to be able to achieve between the three of us stooges?
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, when I look at even just the first, you know, set of guests that we've got planned and recording and moving forward, it's not like you've never seen these people speaking in automotive or outside of automotive. You may have heard multiple podcasts or multiple live streams or been to conferences with them on. I think that what our intention is to bring a particular spirit of the conversation. We might have, you know, some background stories and things like that, but really the spirit of the conversation is going to be around collaboration. What needs to happen in the automotive industry for retail automotive to not just survive, but thrive? And so that's going to be from technology to retail mindset to culture and people. And so there's actually going to be like dialed in particular commentary around what people are seeing or doing or practicing in and among dealerships, whether that be industry partners or dealers, so that we can get our thoughts around, you know, actually doing something. We're going to be actually intentional about asking industry partners what they do. You know, you hear a lot of podcasts and it's like no pitch zone, right? It's like, no, we want to be intentional about connecting dealers and industry partners and OEMs to make sure that everybody really understands, like, how can we pitch in to solve what we think is the kind of holy grail of what we need to solve, which is experience. So employee and dealer and customer experience. And if we can solve for that, then we've made sure that retail automotive will thrive. And so that's the context in which the conversation is going to happen. So you might have heard some of these people before, but we're going to contextualize and dial that in. And then I'm just excited about this. I think we figured this out 2 days ago, was just that, you know, for us, we'd love to provide some commentary around that. So we'll wrap every episode with just, hey, here's just a few minutes of thoughts of, you know, our context on that conversation, because we got some thoughts too, you know. We got some thoughts.
Sometimes there's thoughts in that old noggin. You know what I love about it too is the point of this is not to really teach the individual, right? Like, who are we? I love the fact that we're all fellow students, including those that we have on the show. They are avid learners. They love the journey of learning, but hopefully as the listener participates with us and they're listening in, it's inspiring thought processes for them to say, I'm inspired by that little piece. I want to go and try that out, or I want to go and do something there. What's your take, Paul?
I love when I get to hear other people's questions, because a lot of times those questions that other people ask open it up for me. Like, we're all musicians here, and I love it when someone starts the music, because for me, that is more of an unlock than me just starting something from scratch. And I'm a much better reactive thinker than a proactive thinker. It's just how I'm wired. So when other people get to ask the textured questions, oftentimes that's what opens me up to my fresh thinking. Like, I need something to start my thought process going. So to be able to provide that to other people, for me, it's just a real personal way that I learn and I enjoy, and I kind of unpack context by different perspectives. And I don't think there's anything like that in retail auto. I mean, there's stuff like that in a bunch of different industries, but I don't see that. And I think that there's a lot of white space for it. And I think that even when, like, there's an audience, a group of people that align around certain questions, around a certain topic, it helps that group mentality solve problems faster, I think, because it just helps focus the thinking for a short period of time. And like, oh, maybe we can now find the right place for this, or maybe we can now, make a correction here, or maybe we can now develop the gap that we've just uncovered in that. So I think, again, in the spirit of collaboration, which is why we named it Auto Collabs, and Kyle just said, what we're really trying to solve is the customer experience. There are gaps, there are blind spots. And, I think yesterday, you'll hear this if you listen to episode 00, Kyle really astutely said, we never talk about the consumer as a part of the solution that we need. We talk about dealers and industry partners all the time. Then we kind of loop in OEMs on that, right? Which is important, right? We need to be working together. And then, when Kyle said we need to bring the consumer into the conversation a lot more, because that is going to highlight more gaps, and that's going to help us develop better solutions and work together. So really the spirit of collaboration, like you hear the word collab all the time, and it's a big thing on social media. Oh, we're going to do a collab, we're going to do a collab. But for real, like real collaboration means all of our thoughts and questions together, synthesized a better solution than any of us ever could have on our own.
You know how many people message me? I'm sure you guys got this. We posted a few photos on the socials. How many people message you saying, I've got a beard, I could get a black hat?
What was that? It was like, so do I have to invest in beards, black hats, and black shirts?
Yeah. That kind of took on a life of its own.
I think Lori Halter called it an outfit, and I was like, oh.
We have an outfit. I'd prefer uniform.
I think we should dispel the myth. When you walk into my closet, you see my wife's 3/4 of the space, and it's beautiful and it's colorful, and there's so many different, dresses and pants and all these sorts of things, workout clothes. You look to my side, it's 3 pair of black jeans and like 6 black t-shirts and no variation. Like you will know.
And one unitard.
This tall of black t-shirts, and I have like the 3 t-shirts that I use to wear it to mow the lawn, right? And that's over here, right? So
that's okay. Perhaps the best way that.
Let's be honest. I have a lot more than that in my side of the closet, but they're still like. but there's still all black t-shirts.
I got a blue hat right back here, guys. Maybe one day I'll show up to this and everyone will be confused. Right?
I wouldn't recognize you.
I mean, people will know when it's laundry day when I'm wearing like a blue shirt. It's like crap. That was the bottom of the. That was the back of the shirt.
The blue shirt that I got from that trade show that one time. Right.
That's like totally it. It's like it's usually the workout shirt, but I guess it'll be the one I wear today.
My kids' bedtime clothing is like an anthology of automotive vendor t-shirts. It's true.
So true.
Oh, look,
my daughter comes in.
It's really soft.
All my pajamas are in the wash. Can I wear one of your shirts? I'm like, there you go. It's like it's like a company that doesn't even exist, but their t-shirt has held on, stands the test of time.
Dealer Amazing DMS, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How did they get a shirt on me, right?
Perfect.
Exactly. Oh man, it was so much fun being able to hang out. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for everybody to get their ears and eyes on this Auto Collabs podcast. Of course, we're going to link up to it in the show notes. Stay tuned for that when it goes live. And, just excited to be able to participate with the two of you. Let's talk about ASOTU Con. You guys, can I just say you two are phenomenal at like just building anticipation. Because it's like, hey, stay tuned. This is just like a social post and it'll say, stay tuned, ellipses. And everyone's like, something's coming down the pipe. Something's coming down the pipe. And then you launch a URL, but the URL is just a type kit form. Like who wants
the
to be
crappiest
involved?
landing page ever.
I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Is it a pub crawl? I want in. I don't even know what we're doing. We could be
why is my email
soon.
going in this thing already?
And people do it. And so I mean, that is truly unique. But now that the site is up, ASOTUcon.com, tell me how this all came together and what those attendees can expect.
Well, historically, Kyle and I have been like, we should do an event. And it's 30 days from now attached to another event. And we're like, we can do it. And we do it. This time, we've always wanted to do a standalone event because we've always done bolt-on events. And we wanted to flip the whole script on automotive events, which is why we're calling this the rebirth of the automotive conference. We're not saying the other ones are bad. We're just saying the format needs an interrupt, right? The format needs a reset. And, we get to go to things that are outside of automotive and pay attention to a lot of, marketing and culture things outside of auto. So we're like, we need to bring those things into automotive. And we knew the only way we could do that was to do a standalone event. So we have this amazing venue in Philly that's right in the middle of all the major ballparks. It's designed to to heighten the senses. It's designed to be communal and conversational. It's got energy built into it. It's only 6 minutes from the airport. It's like the perfect spot. And we knew that spot was the right spot. And we said, let's design a conference that is about conversation and not about one way, advice on how you should do this or how you're doing this wrong or how you're doing that wrong, because dealers want to hear what other dealers are doing. Savvy industry partners want to know what other industry partners are doing. They want to know how they can adjust their products and their services and their thought process. So we said, let's wrap it all into one. And if we don't pick a date and do it, it'll never happen. So we said, let's do it in September. And that was 4 months away, which to us felt like an eternity. But in reality, this is probably an event, Kyle, that usually takes a year to plan.
At least, yeah. For especially a first shot. Like, we have no systems and structures. We don't have the spreadsheet. Like, we're building while flying, which is actually really fun, because what it forces us to do is think outside the box. Like, there's no formula that we're going after. And I think that that's really important to us. And it'll be interesting. Like, as we come out of this one, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we're going to constantly push ourselves on that, thinking outside the box. Like, how can we be flexible within what we're given right now? And also, honestly, what's been really neat about it is, because we are so close to it, we're paying a lot of attention to what's happening real time in automotive and in retail. So the conversations will not, like, there's no conversation that's been like pre-filled on a form that says, I want to talk about this in 7 months from now.
True. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it's just going to be like really hyper relevant content. I don't think we have an official title for any of our panels. We know the panels, we know the general thing, but we still are dialing in those like official titles, because we know that dealers need what's right now. Industry partners need what's right now, because the dynamics of retail right now are every day. There's something different. We get news one day of like inventory's coming back, inventory's not coming back, and so
Right.
Adjusting and shifting like that is what we're trying to work on with all of the content. And then we're excited to bring some outside of the industry, thinkers. We've announced that Jim McKelvey will be there, Dave Meltzer will be there, Claude Silver, Dr. Nicole Lipkin. I won't go through the diatribe of all of them, but we're definitely focusing on making sure that it's not just automotive thinkers, because we as retail businesses need to think about retail business as a whole.
Right. The thought that came into my mind yesterday, getting a sneak peek into the venue and some of the plans, I got incredibly excited. Obviously, you had mentioned it earlier. We all go to a ton of conferences. I mean, think of all the conferences we've been to you've been in the industry, Kyle, since 2009. We got a 20-year-old grandpa in the industry here, Paul. And like, we've been to a lot of stuff. Walking into that space yesterday, I had two thoughts. First thought was the space. You were talking about the energy. The space is a character of the event.
Yeah.
The energy, like, you walk in and you're right. You can feel a shift in energy. I got excited immediately about witnessing others' experience just walking in, and the plans that you guys have for how they're introduced into this environment. I want to watch everybody's faces as they walk in. The second thought that came to my mind is, finally something I could bring my wife to.
Yeah.
That was the second thought. I was like, I want my wife to experience this, because this is a side of automotive. And don't get me wrong, she's been to others, and I'm not knocking the others. They have their space. They found their lane. They're just not fun for the wife to come and attend. And I want her to experience the relationships, the collaborations. I want her to experience first time seeing Paul's license plate that says Fam Damley on it.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, here's not just for his family. I'm like, I feel like I'm at home. I feel like it's a family reunion. My kids need Uncle Kyle and Uncle Paul in their life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the feeling surrounding this ecosystem, which I think is tremendous. And not a small feat in the industry. But let me ask you this, just as we wind down. I see secure your spot in Philly at prices even your penny pinching grandma would get excited about. So tell us, how can those listening learn more about ASOTU Con and get their tickets?
Yeah, well,
they can just, go ahead.
We wanted it to be really approachable from a cost perspective. And so yeah, you can go to ASOTUCon, ASOTUCON.com, and you can get tickets right now. Dealer tickets are only $399. So if you're an employee at a dealership or dealer group, you can get tickets for only $399, which is crazy because we see some like 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon events hosted for $399. And so you get
more than that.
The welcome reception all the way through the second full, all the way through Tuesday. So it starts Sunday night and then through Tuesday lunch. And so that's, I think we counted 6 meals that are
all meals are included.
Happy hour, a concert from one of Nashville's absolute best party bands on Monday night. So we're going to keep the energy there and exciting. We're doing things like a silent disco and karaoke, and we've got a DJ coming. Like, we're doing that crazy stuff, plus all of the content. We're starting it in a dealership. So that's $399. Industry partners are only $599. Now, we don't have many industry partner tickets left because we prioritized all of our collaborators. So definitely, if you're an industry partner and you want to come, jump over there. Dealers as well, though, because we do have a lock on how many people we can have there. And then, being in Philly, like right now, I was looking, if I bought a ticket, got my flight, and got my hotel rooms, I think I'd be in and out of that place, including Ubers, for under $1,100.
Wow.
And so that's pretty nuts thinking about just what a typical event costs.
First of all, here's what I love. I don't know whether obviously it sounds like it was intentional. First of all, I think you guys are crazy because that's so inexpensive, but with the amount of value that you're throwing in. That'll be in our text message conversation later.
That's in the biz dev conversation.
That's in the biz dev.
Let me mentor you on how to do business.
Hey, right. I know I have nothing to do with your business outside of a podcast, but
I didn't know you were running a not-for-profit. Yeah.
It's just insane to me. However, what I love about it is it's a testament to everything we've been talking about, the conversations you've been right back to the concept of the beacon, sending out the signal, welcoming everyone in. There's nothing, maybe it's the marketer in me, there's nothing that drives me more nuts than going to a website that's like, come one, come all. And by the way, here's our tiered pricing. We want you all here, but we don't. But we do, but we kind of don't at the same time if you can't afford it. You guys are making this so achievable. And just for those listening, what I would say is don't sit on this. Don't think about it. ASOTUCon.com/tickets. You'll see the pricing right there. It's very transparent. The meals alone, I don't know how you guys are doing.
Listen, they have a cheesesteak place, Gino's Cheesesteaks, in the venue, and we're gonna open it up.
So I don't know how you're doing this. You got to go check it out. ASOTUCon.com/tickets. We'll link to it in the show notes for those of you that are listening or watching. I'm excited about this. And by the way, here's my little sneak peek. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but we're a month and a bit out from this deal. And yesterday, the event coordinator was already talking and reminding these two goons about fire code limits. So you need to this is going to be legit. This is going to be legit. And so you need to definitely get involved in this. I'm excited to be able to participate and observe and learn. ASOTUCon.com/tickets. Boys, thanks so much for joining me on the Dealer Playbook podcast.
Our pleasure.
Boom. Our pleasure.
Playbook. Hey. Oh, that's where the fart should be. Damn. Another missed opportunity.
Did the Dealer Playbook?